Right. Right. So this is formation of the lymph fluid. So as you can see, this is arteriole. So that you should know, blood is pumped out from the heart and the end is arteriole. So this is happen at the peripheral parts of the body. So this is venules. So this is capillaries. So I think you remember in O-level times, so you might have studied about capillaries of the fish. So arteriole, then you get the capillary bed. So here that in capillaries, so there are uh, it's porous. That means a small gaps, small holes. That means so when the blood is under high pressure, so here in capillaries there's a pressure is high. So then fluid is drained outside the outside to the capillaries. So now you can see these are the cells, right? So these are we call tissue fluid. So normally, right? So we are not going to talk about composition of the tissue fluid and this, that, and that. But what we are going to mainly concentrate on, tissue fluid and how lymphatic fluid form. So now here you get tissue fluid. So that means, so you get in this the tissue. So cells are surrounded by the tissue fluid. That means the cells embedded or cells are being bathed by the tissue fluid. So now, after that, so in this area, so this is not simple as this. I always say these are simplified diagrams. So in reality, you don't get those things. Right. So then part of it is absorbed. So that, for example, if I say in the tissue fluid which drain out of the capillaries in this section, so it contains oxygen, nutritions, water, obviously. So, but you don't get red blood cells and all things. So then here, carbon dioxide, other toxic waste are accumulated and sent to the venule. So this is again sent to the heart. This is sent. This is from the heart, arteriole. You get we call in simple way, it is the clean blood. So with oxygen and all. So from the heart. So then this one towards the heart, right? So the important thing is here now, all the fluid drain here not reach to the venules. So that means the fluid is being built up. Fluid is being built up here. So to compensate, you get blindly ending vessels. We call lymphatic vessels. So what you can see in lymphatic vessel, there's a blind end, no? Like that, blind ends. So this is the enlarged lymphatic vessel you can see. This is interstitial fluid. Interstitial fluid is the tissue fluid, like tissue fluid. So then, so that you can see now here there are, right, so anchoring filament. Anchoring filament gives, stability to the lymphatic vessels in a tissue. So in here also you get a small, in endothelium, so there's a small holes, that means the gaps. So then tissue fluid is entering to the lymph. So after it is entering, we call lymphatic fluid. දැන් ඔක සිංහලෙන් කිව්වොත් මෙහෙම. හරි? දැන් මේ තියෙන ආටිරියෝල් එක මම ඒක සිංහලෙන් මොකක්ද කියලා දන්නේ නැහැ. මේ දමනිකා වෙන්නේ නැති. එතකොට ආටිරියෝල් එකේ එකෙන් මෙතෙන්ට එනවා කැපිලරි එකට. කැපිලරි එක කියලා කියන්නේ මේ මොකද්ද? කැපිලරි වලට කියන්නේ අපි මේ කේශනාලිකානේ. එතකොට කැපිලරි වල එකේ මෙතන ප්‍රෙෂර් එක වැඩි වෙනකොට මෙතන ප්‍රෙෂර් එක වැඩි. එතකොට මෙතනින් ෆ්ලුයිඩ් එක ලීක් වෙනවා. ලීක් වෙලා එතකොට අපි කියන එකට ටිෂු ෆ්ලුයිඩ් කියලා. එතකොට මේ ටිෂු ෆ්ලුයිඩ් එකේ තියෙන ඔක්සිජන්, පෝෂණ ද්‍රව්‍ය ආහාර මෙහි තියෙනවා. එතකොට එතනින් කාබන් ඩයොක්සයිඩ් ආහාර මෙටි මේකේ සෛල ඔක්කොම මේ නැහැවිලා තියෙන කියලා අපි කියන්නේ බේතින්. එතකොට මෙතනින් එකතු වෙනවා මොනවද මේ වෙනියුල් එකට එකතු වෙනවා මේ කාබන් ඩයොක්සයිඩ් ටොක්සික් වේස්ට්. එතකොට මෙහෙම ආය හાર્ට් එකට හෘද වස්තුවෙන් මේක හෘද වස්තුවෙන් එන එක ඔතන මහා ධමනිය ඔස්සේ අයෝටා එකේ ඊට පස්සේ මෙතනින් ආය හෘද වස්තුවට මේක යනවා. එතකොට මේක ඇතුලේ මේකෙන් ලීක් වෙන ඔක්කොම මෙතනින් යන්නේ නැහැ. මේක ඉතුරු වෙනවා. මේක ෆ්ලුයිඩ් එක බිල්ඩ් අප් වෙනවා. ඒ බිල්ඩ් අප් වෙන ෆ්ලුයිඩ් එක මොකද වෙන්නේ? ලිම්ෆැටික් වෙසල්ස් එකට ඇතුල් වෙනවා. ඔතනින් තමයි අද අපේ කතාව පටන් ගන්නෙ. හරි? එතකොට දැන් ඕක පැහැදිලි ඇති. ඕක තමයි ලිම්ෆැටික්. එතකොට ලිම්ෆැටික් අන්තිමට මේවා එකතු වෙලා ලිම්පැටික්ස් මේ ඒකෙත් නාල පද්ධතියක් තියෙනවා අපේ සිරුරේ නාල පද්ධතියක්. එතකොට ඔය නාල පද්ධතිය ඕකේ නැවතත් අපි එකතු වෙනවා අපේ හෘදයට උඩින් ආයේ අපේ මූලික රුධිර සංසරණ පද්ධතියට මේක එකතු වෙනවා. හරි. දැන් මේ තියෙන්නේ limp ගත්තොත් එහෙම limp is clear, right? Limp is clear colorless fluid that originates from the interstitial tissue fluid. It is formed through a dynamic exchange between blood capillaries, tissue spaces, and the lymphatic system. Right. So now here capillary filtration. Capillary filtration is the what we discuss now. At the arterial end capillaries, hydrostatic pressure, so generated by the heart, forces plasma out of the blood capillary, the interstitial space. So these are the interstitial space. Right. So then this plasma contain water electrolyte. Electrolyte means that different ions, nutrient, right? Like glucose, amino acids, and small proteins, right? Next one is the interstitial fluid formation. The fluid enter the interstitial space bathes surrounding cells. සමහර එකට කියනවා baths කියලා bathes surrounding cells, providing them with the nutrition and oxygen. This all are cells. That is what takes place, right? Then what happened? Most of the fluid reabsorbed into venous. Venous system most of the fluid being reabsorbed, right? But some are remain, right? So reabsorb the venous end of the capillaries due to oncotic pressure created by the plasma protein. Excess interstitial fluid at the lymph capillary. Roughly 10% of the fluid remain tissue space and cannot re-enter blood capillary. This excess enter blood, which are thin-walled, blind-ended, highly permeable due to overlapping endothelial cells. One endothelial cells on a gap, right? So then what happened? Conversion into lymph. Once inside the lymph vessel, interstitial fluid is called lymph. Lymph also contains lymphocyte. Lymphocyte is a type of white blood cell. Cellular debris. Pathogens. සමහරවිට pathogen ඉන්නවා. අපි කුත්තටි හැදෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ ඔය pathogens ගිහිල්ලා එහෙම නැත්නම් virus ගිහිල්ලා ඔය ඒක මොකද defense mechanism එක. Occasionally protein and absorb lipids, especially from interstitial lacteals. Right. So if you look at this one now here, summary, process, capillary filtered hydrostatic pressure, outcome plasma in the tissue space, reabsorption oncotic pressure, most fluid re-enter capillaries, lymph formation, entry via lymphatic capillaries, excess interstitial lymph, right? If you think about, because the capillary, there's a permeable, that means that there's a holes. If I say simply, there's a gaps in the wall like that. In the capillary is a one cell thick. So if you have studied one cell thick, so there's a gaps like that. So in these gaps only, right, a tissue fluid, blood cells normally doesn't pass through these tiny gaps, but fluid and small ions pass through and you get the tissue fluid. That is the principle. That is how we explain formation of the tissue fluid. So I think it is clear, right? Now I'm going to explain more about that lymphatic system, right? Because let me right. So this is what I'm going to discuss now, lymphatic system. Right. So now a lymphatic system is a series of vessels. I think you can read it, vessels and nodes that collect and filter excess tissue fluid, lymph, before returning into the venous circulation. So lymphatic system into the venous circulation, you can see now here. See that you get the right lymphatic duct and there's another one, you get the left side as well, right? So now here, lymphatic system is a series of vessels and nodes that collect and filter excess tissue fluid, lymph, before returning it to the venous circulation. It forms a vital part of the body's immune defense. In this article, we shall look at anatomy of the lymphatic system. So this all in green. So it is the lymphatic system, right? In green, it is all the lymphatic system, right? Okay, so now here we'll look for how it goes. Right. So now here lymph organs. There are a number of organs that contain lymphatic tissue. They are involved in the blood filtering. So please write it down. Spleen. So we are going to have a separate short session about spleen and thymus, right? Red bone marrow. Spleen function mainly as a blood filter, removing all red blood cells. Is also plays a role in immune response. Thymus, responsible for the development and maturation of T lymphocytes. Red bone marrow responsible for maturation of immature lymphocyte, much like the thymus. In addition, some lymphocyte tissue is located in the tonsils, right? Tonsils, appendix, and in the walls of the gastrointestinal tract, right? So lymph node. So lymph node is in the syllabus. This is a much simplified one. So, but for the pre-medical program, so you don't have to know much about this one. So lymphatic nodes concentrated in many part of the body. So you get in necks, you get a groin area, so you get here, axilla. So it plays a defense function. It has a defense function. Lymph node are kidney-shaped structures which act to filter foreign particles. So at the beginning, I told you when forming lymph, right? So there's a possibility, so some bacteria, there's a virus, or maybe parts of the blood cells can be there, and also if there are injury, right? So bacteria or virus, there's a possibility, right? Play important immune response infection. On average, an adult has around 400 to 500 different type of lymph nodes spread throughout the body, right? With majority located in the abdomen. Each lymph node contains T lymphocyte. Lymphocyte is a white blood cell, and these are related to the defense. They are exposed to the fluid as it passes through the nodes and can mount an immune response. If they detect presence of pathogens, දැන් අපි pathogens කියන්නේ මොකක් හරි ලෙඩක් ඇති කරන මොකක් හරි එකක්. වෛරස් එකක් හරි මොකක් හරි පාටිකල් එකක්. right. මේවට pathogen මේවට සිංහල වචන නම් හරි නෑ ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් බලාගන්න හොඳයි. This immune response often recruit more inflammatory cells into the node, which is why lymph node are palpable during infection. දැන් අපි ගත්තොත් කුත්තටි කියලා කියන්නේ ඕක තමයි lymph nodes. Palpable එක ඉදිමෙනවා. right. Lymph fluid enter the node through efferent lymph channels and leaves the node via, see, remember A and E, efferent. Lymph fluid come with the efferent, A, lymphatic channels, and leaves efferent. Right? If you study glomerular source, you get the efferent and efferent. Right? So like that. When you are studying nephron, you will learn that. Macrophages located with the sinuses of the lymph node act to filter foreign particles out of the fluid as it travel through. Like if like anatomy book එක ගත්තොත් මීටර ලොකුවට මේක එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරලා තියෙනවා. ඔයාගේ note එකෙත් ලොකුවට තියෙනවා. So but you don't have to study that much at the very beginning, but you have to study when you properly start your course. Right. So now you can see now here, see you get a B cells, T cells, and you know this is right. Lymph flow out of the node to white vessels. Right. Lymph flow into more narrow. So more lymph enter this one, the afferent. So this is efferent, no? What lymph come afferent? A. Leaves efferent. So what is coming here? So you can see now here. So they have small cross section area when they are leaving large cross section area. But here you can see B cells, T cells, they're all working as a filter, densely packed B cell is a macrophages and plasma cells. They all have defense mechanisms. So please write it down. You have to study these things. Function of B cell, function of T cell. This come under immunology. This come under immunology, not come under anatomy, but it's because the medicine, this is all linked. It is linked to the physics, it linked to the sociology, chemistry, linked to the economy, it linked to everything. Right. Then lymph vessels. Now lymphatic vessel transport lymph fluid around the body. There are two main systems of lymph vessels, superficial and deep. Superficial කියලා කියන්නේ මතු පිට තියෙනවා. Right? මතු පිට තියෙනවා. You mind me? Hello, Harold. Did you take the medicine? Okay. Lymph nodes. Right? Superficial vessel. Superficial vessel කියලා කියන්නේ මේ ඇඟ මතු පිට තියෙනවට. ඒක deep vessel. Drain deep structure of the body such as internal organs. මේ අභ්‍යන්තර දින අවයව. එතකොට accompany deep arteries. The drainage of the lymph begin with lymph channels. ඔන්න බලන්න lymph channels. Which starts as blind end capillaries. Gradual development of the blind ends කියන එක මම කිව්වනේ දැන් මේ blind end කියන්නේ මේ කොහේද නැද්ද දැන්? කියන්නේ blind ending. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ blind end කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? ඒක මේ ඉවර වෙන්න ඒක කොහෙටවත් සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. blind end කියන්නේ ඒක. right? ඒතර ඔවත් සමහරට අහනවා blind ends. right. Eventually truncated and these eventually form right lymphatic duct and thoracic duct. right. එතකොට මෙතන deep part. Drainage into lymph channel which start as blind ended capillaries and gradually develop into vessel. Blind ended කියන එක මම කිව්වා. පටන් ගන්න abruptly පටන් ගන්නවා. This vessel travel proximally drain through several lymph nodes. Eventually the vessels empty into lymphatic trunks, also known as collecting vessels. And this eventually converge to form the right lymphatic ducts and the thoracic duct. The right lymphatic duct is responsible for draining the lymph from the upper right quadrant of the body. This includes the right side of the head and neck. So now only the important part, right? So right lymphatic duct is responsible for the draining the lymph from the upper right quadrant of the body. මෙන්න තියෙනවා right මේ මොකද්ද? right කැලේ. දැන් පේනවා මේක symmetrically නෙමෙයි වෙන්නේ නේ. Right lymphatic duct responsible for the draining lymph from the upper right quadrant of the body. දැන් මේ තියෙන්නේ මේ වම් අත නෙමෙයි දකුණු අත. මේ දකුණු අත.
ඔව්.
මේ තියෙන වම් අත. දැන් මේ හැමතිස්සෙම මේ diagrams ඇදලා තියෙන්නේ patient ඇඳ උඩ මුදියාගෙන ඉන්නවා කියලා හිතනවා. එතකොට patient ගේ වම් අත තියෙන එතකොට මෙතන තමයි heart එක. ඉතින් අපේ දකුණු අත තියෙන්නේ දකුණු අත මෙතන තිබ්බොත් අපි තියන්නේ අපේ දකුණු අත එයාගේ වම් අත උඩින්. එතකොට මේ තියන්නේ එයාගේ දකුණු අත. හරි? එතකොට මේ තියෙන්නේ මොකද්ද? Drainage by the right lymphatic duct. So පේනවනේ මේ කැලේ විතර. එහෙනම් මොකද්ද මේ අනිත් කැලේ ඔක්කොම මොකද්ද? left side එක. හරි? එතකොට එතන මොකද්ද? thoracic duct drain into subclavian vein. එතකොට left internal jugular vein. එතකොට මෙතනින් තමයි ඊළඟට අපි heart මොකද්ද vein එකට එකතු වෙලා අන්තිමට මොකද වෙන්නේ? it drain to the කොහෙද දෙන්නේ? right? කොහෙද දෙන්නේ? අපි දැනට මතක තියාගමු heart එකට join වෙන. එතකොට මොකද ඔය veins වලින් veins එකට එකතු වුණාම අන්තිමට මොකද වෙන්නේ? heart එකේ උඩ කොටසට එකතු වෙනවා. හරි. එතකොට the thoracic duct is much larger. ඔන්න right side of the head and neck. Right? Thoracic and right upper. The thoracic duct is much larger and drain lymph node from the rest of the body. එහෙනම් thoracic duct කියන්නේ මෙන්න. දැක්කද? එතකොට ඔයාලට පේනවා ඒක symmetrical නෑ. These two ducts then empty to the venous circulation at the subclavian veins via the right and the left venous angle. Right. දැන් ඊළඟට තියෙනවා මොකද? lymph දැන් ඔන්න තව පොඩි කැලලක් we have to know. තව පොඩි කැලලක්. හරි. We have to know another small part. දැන් කිව්වනේ මොකද්ද කිව්වේ? දැන් මම කිව්වා දැන් ඔන්න right subclavian artery එකක් ගැන. We can remember that we talk about right subclavian artery. Sorry, vein එක. side subclavian vein එක. right. ඒක join වෙනවා right internal jugular vein එක. ඒක මේකේ නෑ කොහෙන්ද ලියාගන්න. right internal jugular vein. right. To form the right ඒකට කියනවා brachiocephalic vein. ඒකට තව නමක් කියනවා innominate vein. The right brachiocephalic vein then merge with the left brachiocephalic vein to form superior vena cava. Superior vena cava. The superior vena cava, so it joined with the heart. Right, superior vena cava. ඊළඟට then left subclavian joined with the left internal jugular vein from the left brachiocephalic vein. This left brachiocephalic vein then merge into right brachiocephalic vein and the superior vena cava, which empty to the right atrium of the heart. එතකොට ඔක්කොම කොහෙද දෙන්නේ? right atrium එකට නේ දෙන්නේ. right atrium. So all the blood, that means deoxygenated blood, so drain to the right atrium of the heart. No, right atrium of the heart. Right. එතකොට දැන් ඔන්න දැන් lymph fluid. right. Now Lymph fluid. Lymph is transudative fluid is transparent and yellow. Kahapatai is formed when, right? It formed when fluid leaves the capillary bed in tissue due to hydrostatic pressure. Roughly 10% of the blood volume become lump. A lump name lymph. Right. The composition of the lymph fairly similar to the blood plasma with majority of the volume around 95% of comprised of water. The remaining 5% is comprised of protein, lipids, carbohydrate, mainly glucose, various ions and some cells, mainly lymphocytes. Although this can vary depending on where in the body the lymph is produced. For example, chyle lymph that produce the gastrointestinal system is particularly rich in fat. දැන් තව එකක් තියෙනවා දැන් මේ ලිම්ප් දැන් අපේ එලිමෙන්ටරි කැනල් එක ගැන කතා කරොත් එතනත් ලිම්ප් එක බය එතන කතා කරන්න යන්නේ නැත්නම් මොකද වැඩේ පැටලලා එහෙම වුණොත් එහෙම හරි ඊට පස්සේ ඒක බලමු right ඊළඟට දැන් අපිට පොඩි වැඩක් we have to do another work right so that work is this. We have to know about certain terms now. We have to know about certain terms. So these terms we call, right? I'll tell. Number one, lymphedema. Lymphedema. So there's a certain terms you have to know. Lymphedema is one is lymphedema, right? So other one is lymphadenopathy. Lymphadenopathy, right? Lymphedema, right? Write it down. Those things are important, right? Lymphoma. Next one is a lymphoma. Other one is the lymphatic filariasis. So those are the conditions related to the lymphatic system. So I'll tell again now. So what you have to know when you talk about the lymphatic system, right? There are some common conditions, right? So one is it is not on the slide. I'm just reading, right? Follow it, right? Lymphedema. Lymphedema means condition involves swelling due to buildup of lymph fluid. So then you get the lymph resulting from blocked or damaged lymphatic vessel. Other one is the lymphadenopathy. Lymphadenopathy means that swollen lymph nodes. Lymphoma means cancer එක. තව එකක් තියෙනවා මොකද්ද? Lymphatic filariasis කියලා. Lymphatic filariasis කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද අපි බරව කියලා කියන්නේ. අන්න ඒක. හරි lymphatic filariasis. හරි. ඊළඟට තව condition එකක් තියෙනවා. මොකද්ද? දැන් චුට්ටක් රිසර්ච් කරලා බලන්න limp in urine කියලා. ඔන්න දැන් අද අලුතෙන් කන්ඩිෂන් එකක් ඉගෙන ගත්තා. right limp in urine වලට අපි කියනවා නමක් මොකද්ද කියනවා මොකද්ද එතකොට urine සුදු පාට වගේ milky urine chyluria some people say chyluria but chyluria ඒ කියන්නේ මුත්‍රා සුදු පාටට හුරුයි chyluria හරි ඒක වෙන්න පුළුවන් මොකද්ද පැරසයිට් ඉන්නකොට එහෙම නැත්නම් මොකක් හරි ලිම්ප් එක කන්ජෙටල් ඇබ්නෝමැලිටිස් එහෙම නැත්නම් ටියුමර් එකක් වුණොත් එහෙම නැත්නම් සමහර ඉල්නස් වලටත් ඒක වෙන්න පුළුවන් හරි එතකොට ඕක තමයි බේසික් කතන්දර ටික අපේ ලිම්පැටික් සිස්ටම් එකේ හරි ඊළඟට දැන් අපි තව දුරටත් මේක පොඩ්ඩක් බලමු එතකොට මේ තියෙන්නේ what you see organized structure of the lymphatic system. Then, since that I have given you the basic idea, now you know lymphatic system, right? ඊළඟට දැන් මේ terminology එක. හරි අපි දැන් terminology එක තව පොඩ්ඩක් බලමු terminology එක. Lymphatic vessels that we know lymphatic vessels. Large network of tissues and organ involved in the immune system of the body. Lymph. Fluid pass into the lymphatic vessels. Right. Lymph nodes. Small glands that filter lymphatic capillaries, right? So lymphatic capillary is site of the lymph fluid collection from the tissue. Right. දැන් ඔන්න මේ එක පාත් එකක් දාලා smallest lymphatic vessels, large lymphatic vessel, thoracic duct and left subclavian vein. So left subclavian vein එක කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? මේ පැත්තේනේ. Left subclavian. එතකොට can you remember that we talk about the right side as well. ඔන්න දැන් ඒවා මතක තියාගන්න මේක එක පැත්තක් දාලා මේ left subclavian vein. හරි එහෙනම් ඒක කොහොමද යන්නේ? ඒක vein එකක් නම් is towards the heart නේ. එතකොට දැන් මට කියන්න දැන් superior vena cava inferior all the blood, what is the chamber of the heart that all the deoxygenated blood enter? මොකක්ද chamber එක?
subclavian.
නෑ heart එකේ මොකක්ද? artery එක මොකක්ද?
මේ right atrium එකට,
right atrium එක, right upper right. And function of the lymphatic system එකක් integral role of the immune system. එතකොට first line of defense against is transport and filter lymph fluid containing antibodies, right? දැන් මේ තියෙන cells in the immune system. දැන් මේක ටිකක් so what I think we have to discuss separately, right? So this is bone graft, macrophages. This is actually, it is something related to the, immune system. හරි ඒක දැනට ඕනේ. Cells of the immune system, you have to innate immunity, adaptive immunity, right? So you have to know about these two terms, right? Innate immunity, innate immunity and the adaptive immunity, right? Innate immunity is, right? So what is it? Innate immunity is the body's first line of defense, innate immunity, right? So adaptive immunity, on the other hand, more specific and target response that develop over time and provide long-lasting protection, right? So that is the adaptive immunity. So innate immunity, so that write it down somewhere. You have to know about what is innate immunity and adaptive immunity, right? So here that types of lymphoid tissues. So encapsulated lymphoid tissues surrounded by capsule of dense connective tissue. So you get a spleen, thymus and lymph node, right? So we got to talk about now spleen, right? So you can research about spleen. First you search about spleen anatomy, right? So spleen එක කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? Where it is, right? So spleen is a small, right? So what is the size of the spleen? What is the size of the spleen? So normally it is about 13 centimeters long, about 8 centimeters wide, and about 4 centimeter thick. So normally it is about 150 to 170 grams, small organ. අතක තියාගන්න පුළුවන් spleen එක. Right. That's a spleen. So now you have to know about the, right? So normally spleen is bigger in the young people, right? එතකොට උසායගේ ස්ප්ලීන් එක ලොකුයි. එතකොට මේල්ස් ලාගේ ස්ප්ලීන් එක ටිකක් ලොකුයි. ඊළඟට ඉම්පෝර්ටන්ට් එක තමයි අපි වයසට යනකොට ස්ප්ලීන් එකේ සයිස් එක පොඩ අඩු වෙගෙන යනවා. තව එකක් තමයි ස්ප්ලීනෝමෙගලි. ස්ප්ලීනෝමෙගලි කියන්නේ ස්ප්ලීන් එක එන්ලාර්ජ් වෙනවා. එතකොට ඉන්ෆෙක්ෂන්, liver disease, disorder වලදී වෙනවා. හරි ඊළඟට දැන් අපි ඔය ස්ප්ලීන් එකේ තව ඒවා කතා කරලා හරි එතකොට ස්ප්ලීන් එකේ functions we have to know. Very important spleen function. Right? So spleen function. ස්ප්ලීන් එක කියලා කියන්නේ හරි පුදුම ඔබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක්. ඕකෙන් තමයි මේ blood filter කරන්නේ. Right? එතකොට immune system එක ගොඩක් වැදගත්. එතකොට it filter the blood, remove all those damaged blood cells. හරි ඊළඟට මොකද කරන්නේ? එතකොට ස්ප්ලීන් එක වයසට ගිය පරණ මැරිච්ච සෛල අයින් කරනවා. ඊළඟට ඒකේ ෆිල්ටර් කරනවා ඕන් නැති HCl debris pathogens. ඒක හරි වැදගත් මොකද්ද? අපේ හෙල්ත් එකට. ඊළඟට වැදගත්ම කතාව තමයි මොකද්ද? මොකද්ද? ස්ප්ලීන් එකේ එන illnesses. Right? Spleen එකේ illnesses. Right? එතකොට ඒකේ සෑහෙන ස්ප්ලීන් එක එතකොට ඒකේ ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. මොකද්ද මම ඒකේ පොඩ කියන්න. එකක් තමයි අපි කරේ නේ enlarged spleen. splenomegaly. ඊළඟට ruptured spleen කියලා. ඊළඟට hypersplenism. එතකොට enlarged spleen is එහෙම එකක්. ඊට පස්සේ hyposplenism. ඔහොම ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. ඒ ටික අපිට පස්සේ බලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. හරි. ඊළඟට බලමු thymus gland එක. thymus. හරි. thymus gland. thymus gland එක කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? thymus gland එක මොකද්ද? thymus gland එක තියෙන්නේ කොහෙද කියලා බැලුවොත් එහෙම කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ? right? ඒකට සිංහල වචන නම් මට මතක නැහැ. ඒක තියෙන්නේ මේ අපේ පපුවේ උඩ පැත්තේ තියෙන්නේ. හරි පොඩ්ඩක් රිසර්ච් කරලා බලන්න thymus gland එක. right? upper
Then
chest එකේ.
between
ඔව්.
the lungs.
ඔව් අන්න right. thymus gland එක. හරි. ඒතකොට thymus gland එකේ size එක පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න. මේ ඔක්කොම ඕන size එක. thymus gland එකේ size එක. thymus gland එකේ size එක. thymus gland එකේ size එක කොච්චර විතරද? සාමාන්‍ය 1 ග්‍රෑම් 50ක් විතර බරයි. එතකොට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි ඒ කියන්නේ සාමාන්‍ය ටික ලොකු වෙනකොට
2.5 to
right
5 centimeter wide.
yeah හරි එතකොට ඕක තමයි.
1
එතකොට
centimeter
thymus yes thymus gland එකේ functions. එතකොට ඔන්න ඕවා තමයි දැන් මේකේ ගොඩක් සිම්පල් ඒවා තියෙන්නේ. හරිද? ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ note එක. එතකොට මේ function මොකද්ද? right function මොකද්ද? produce and train T lymphocyte. ඔක තමයි මේ ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක. thymus gland එකේ T cell production maturation ඊට පස්සේ hormone production immune system. So those things are the thymus gland. එතකොට ඊළඟට දැන් මේ ඔක්කොම encapsulated. Right? So you have to know what are the encapsulated. What is encapsulated? Encapsulated කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? Encapsulated කියන්නේ ඒක ඉංග්‍රීසි වචනයක්. මොකක්ද ඒ? Encapsulated. මොකක්ද? ඒ කියන්නේ ඒක කවර් වෙලා තියෙන එකක් නේ. කැප්සූල් එකකින් වට වෙලා තියෙන එකක්. Encapsulated. හරි. Encapsulated. එහෙම තියෙන හරියට බලන්න. කැප්සූල් වෙලා නැද්ද?
or surrounded or included with it.
හරි. එතකොට encapsulated කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? ආයි කියන්න.
Closed in or surrounded or included.
Surrounded. right. Confined. Surrounded by thin layer tissue. කියන්නේ මේක tissue එකකින් ආවරලා තියෙන එකට encapsulated. හරි. ඊළඟට දැන් එහෙනම් unencapsulated කියන්නේ ඕක. right. So එතකොට ඒකේ අපි දන්නවා tonsil කියලා. right. එතකොට බලන්න මොකක්ද කියලා මේ tonsils. එතකොට තව ඒකේ concept තියෙනවා tonsillitis කියලා. tonsillitis කියලා. තව concept tonsillitis කියලා. right. tonsillitis කියලා කියන්නේ inflammation of the tonsils. tonsillitis. එතකොට පොඩි සමහරවිට දැන් ඔකට දැන් treat කරනවා. එතකොට තව එකක් තමයි දැන් ඔය අලුත් එකක් දැන් ඔතන තියෙන්නේ මොකද්ද තියෙන්නේ? Pairs patches කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? Pairs patches කියන්නේ clusters of lymphatic tissue found in small intestine. ileum. right? එතනත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? මොකද්ද? immune surveillance in the digestive tract. right? ඊළඟට තව එකක් තමයි මොකද්ද? mold. MALT. ඒ මොකද්ද? mold කියන අපි කියන mold නෙමෙයි. mold lymphatic system. mold lymphatic system කියලා කියන්නේ mucosa associated lymphatic tissue. ඒක right mold කියලා කියන්නේ right. එතකොට so it is crucial part of the lymphatic system. එතකොට ඒක defense එකට ඕන වෙනවා. හරි. එතකොට ඒකේ මොකක්ද තියෙන්නේ? ඒක තියෙනවා mucosal surface එකේ. respiratory එකේ තියෙනවා genitourinary. දැන් genitourinary tract එකේ එතකොට it has a defense mechanism. right. එතකොට ඒකේ B cells තියෙනවා, T cells තියෙනවා like that. right. ඒකේ තව එක තියෙනවා අපි ඒක දැනට ඕනේ නැහැ. හරි. ඊළඟට right. So types of lymphoid organs. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ මේක so if they have done it in 1 hour, so we have done more than 1 hour, so that means we have done more. So types of lymphoid organ: primary lymphoid organ, secondary lymphoid organ. Right now you know what is primary that we discussed, thymus. Secondary, mold, mucous associated lymphoid tissue. දැන් ඒක මතකයි. right. Pale patches and this thing. right. mold. Collection of immune cell located diffuse in the digestive respiratory utricle. Found in mucosal, right? Digestive කියන්නේ අපේ digestive part එක ඔක තියෙනවා. Right. Uh, found in some mucosal membrane site of the body, right? Structure of the lymph node. So we have discussed now structure of the lymph node. So this is very, what is here, very complicated one. I don't think you have to remember the very first period, but definitely when you do histology and all things, so you have to know this structure of the lymph node. So you, and also that, so they'll, in exam, they will ask you to identify, right? So structure of thymus gland, I told you. So thymus gland, there's connective tissue capsule, connective tissue trabecule, incomplete lobules, outer dark state. Okay, now you have to research and find about the structure of the thymus gland. Structure of the thymus gland, right? Structure of the thymus gland. Structure of the thymus gland.
Two lobes.
Right? So you have
Yeah.
to study about that means connective tissue, trabecule, incomplete lobules, outer dark strained cortex, densely packed lymphocyte, inner state, light state. That means මේ කියන්නේ මේ stay කරපුවා පේන එක, right? Epithelial reticular cells, then Hassel's corpuscles, ඊළඟට thymic corpuscles, show derivative centers, presence of blood vessels and adipose cells in parenchyma. Structure of thymus capsule. So those in cortex, medulla, blood vessels. So there's a thymus. It's better to know this. But anyway, make a one structure of the spleen. Right? So structure of the spleen, dense connective tissue capsule, connective tissue trabecle. So trabecular arteries and vein, aggregation of lymph nodes, white pulp content. Right? Okay. You have to know about the structure and function of the spleen and the thymus gland. Right?
Yeah.
Structure of the spleen. Harry? So this one, see, histological features with distinct spleen, it's very important. Spleen, distinct cortex and medulla. Even in the kidney, you get cortex and medulla. Even can you remember that? Even when you are discussing about ovary, there's a cortex and medulla. You remember, right? Lymph node, yes, lymph node, distinct cortex and medulla. Then contains venous sinuses. Here contain lymphatic sinuses. No subscapular or trabecular sinuses. Presence of subscapular or trabecular sinuses. Thicker capsule and trabecule. Less thicker capsule trabecule. Presence of white pulp and red pulp. Absence of white pulp. So that is, this is very important. So you got to know this. These are differences are coming, right? So again, it is a structure of the spleen. But if they give you a diagram, you have to know how to draw that. So only thing is, so I can't teach you how to remember. That means you have to draw this over and over again to remember this. Right. Next one is a type of tonsils. So adenoids, palatine tonsils, and lingual tonsils. So that means you hear, right here, that means you Eustachian tube. You have to know what is the function of Eustachian tube. This is a A-level thing. Adenoids, palatine tonsils, and lingual tonsils. Right. Structure of the palatine. So these things important. Right? Structure of the palatine tonsil. No dense connective tissue capsule, surface covered by stratified squamous, non-keratinized epithelium. These are important. Inward a deep growth called tonsillar cryptus. Right. So presence of lymphatic nodules in the tonsillar cryptus. Merged lymphatic nodules exhibit germinal centers. Then connective tissue trabecule with blood vessels. Below connective tissue is skeletal muscle fibers. Structure of the palatine tonsil. So the everything here. So whatever the way, you have to use any method which sound fit to remember these things, right? So you have to use any of the method, right? Okay, now here, see, lymphatic organ, special feature, capsule, germinal center, right? So lymph node, spleen, thymus, tonsils. So those in pericapsular sinus present red and white pulp coats, Hassel's corpuscle, stratified squamous epithelium. So capsule, this table you need to remember, right? So today also now here is the end of our good day.